When you think of infamous Hollywood box office disasters, your mind probably jumps to historic failures like The Adventures of Pluto Nash, John Carter, or The Flash. But a new king of cinematic financial ruin has officially claimed the crown. In mid-2026, a massive historical epic quietly hit theaters, collapsed instantly, and etched its name into the history books for all the wrong reasons. The film is called Desert Warrior. Directed by Rupert Wyatt, the visionary behind Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and starring major Hollywood talent like Marvel's Anthony Mackie, Charlotte Copley, and Sir Ben Kingsley. This movie carried a staggering production budget of $150 million.
Hello, I like money!
Yet, as the theatrical dust settles, the worldwide box office returns show a grand total of less than $800,000. That is not a typo. A $150 million investment recouped roughly 0.5% of its budget back in ticket sales. Today, we are opening the financial ledgers to understand how a movie this massive could completely vaporize hundreds of millions of dollars without anyone noticing. To understand why Desert Warrior failed so spectacularly, we have to look at the bizarre mechanics behind its production pipeline. This was not a traditional Hollywood studio project greenlit by Warner Bros. Or Universal. Instead, it was an incredibly ambitious flagship venture financed by the Saudi Arabian film industry. Production companies like MBC Studios and AGC Studios wanted to create a monumental global epic that would put regional cinematic infrastructure on the international map. They poured $150 million into a script centered on a princess fleeing into the Arabian desert, uniting rival tribes for a massive last stand. But according to recent industry disclosures and production leaks, the actual filming process turned into an absolute logistical nightmare. The production team allegedly spent over $100 million trying to build massive, state-of-the-art studio facilities in the middle of Saudi Arabia to accommodate the shoot. However, severe construction delays plagued the project. The situation deteriorated to the point where large action sequences had to be filmed inside massive inflatable tents, entirely devoid of air conditioning, in the blistering desert heat. Production costs ballooned out of control, and by the time the film entered its lengthy post-production phase, the budget was severely top-heavy, with massive chunks of capital buried in half-finished real estate infrastructure rather than on the screen. In modern cinema, a $150 million production requires an additional $100 million in mass awareness marketing to break even. But when Desert Warrior was finally completed, the distribution landscape had completely changed. The domestic distributor, Vertical Entertainment, only acquired the North American rights for a very small fee, leaving the primary financiers holding a massive financial burden. When the film finally debuted in theaters in April, there was virtually zero consumer awareness. There were no massive trailer rollouts, no high-profile late-night talk show appearances for Anthony Mackie, and no global billboard campaigns. The movie was essentially dumped into theaters with less promotion than a low-budget indie feature. Audiences simply did not know the film existed. In its opening weekend, theater tracking systems registered numbers so low they were practically invisible. The creators held onto a desperate hope that international markets, particularly the United Arab Emirates and the broader Middle East, would rescue the film. But that audience support never materialized. The total global theatrical run stalled at an unprecedented low, locking Desert Warrior in as a financial disaster that completely eclipsed old industry legends of failure. How does a consortium of multi-billion-dollar media companies let a $150 million asset fail without a fight? The answer lies in the dark art of Hollywood accounting and regional tax strategies. Entertainment financial analysts are raising a fascinating theory. Desert Warrior may have been intentionally sacrificed as a massive corporate tax write-off, because the production companies spent such an exorbitant amount of money developing physical studio spaces and soundstages in the region. Attaching those massive infrastructure expenses directly to the movie's production ledger allowed them to immediately claim those losses. By writing the entire $150 million off as a total commercial loss on a single, failed film project, the parent conglomerates could potentially offset massive revenue gains across their other profitable broadcast and media sectors. It is a real-world execution of the classic film, the producers where a project is worth significantly more to its financiers dead than alive. The post-mortem of Desert Warrior changes the way we look at box office metrics forever. While films like John Carter lost more total money on paper due to massive marketing campaigns, they still managed to bring in over $280 million in global ticket sales. Desert Warrior stands entirely alone because it achieved a near absolute zero level of public engagement despite carrying blockbuster funding. It stands as a warning to the global film industry. You can throw hundreds of millions of dollars at premier talent and massive desert sets, but if you do not build a real, human marketing connection with an audience, your movie will not even become a cult classic, it will simply become a footnote in a corporate accounting ledger. Was Desert Warrior the ultimate casualty of bad production logistics, or was it a calculated corporate maneuver designed to fail for financial write-offs? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for more corporate autopsies, and I will see you in the next breakdown. Peace out.